are these people?
Speaking of fake views, Colin, we're going to talk about some fake news.
You are fake news.
So,
Polish fake news.
Polish fake news.
You have to explain this.
Yes.
Because you asked me earlier if I knew anything about this, and I'm like, no. So
Visegrád24 is on Twitter. Okay. This is a Twitter account that Alan Macleod here is going to blow the lid on. So we covered earlier in the night that what did I tell people to remember in the chat about Kamala Harris meeting with the Polish
right
Prime Minister? Okay, so we're gonna get into that. So Alan Macleod writes, Visegrád24, the Polish government-funded fake news factory driving the online Israel-Palestine news cycle. Okay, we've talked plenty tonight and on other nights, plenty of clips if you'd like to go back in through our library of the lies that Israel spouts, and we're going to get into one of the biggest spouters of it. So, named by Gizmodo as the most influential source of news on Israel-Palestine on Twitter. Okay, Visegrád24 has shot to prominence, amassing more than 1 million followers across social media platforms. Colin, me and you both know you do not get support or any views or supporters on Israel-Palestine. You are immediately censored if you are telling the truth. Like,
right, but I have not seen this group before.
You've seen them. You just don't know that you've seen them. That's the problem. Okay. So, yet, it has consistently shared blatantly false information in an attempt to ramp up support for the state of Israel's crimes in Gaza. Worse still, the semi-anonymous account pushing a far-right agenda worldwide is known to be funded by the deeply conservative Polish government, okay? Which has been coming up frequently with his prime minister that they just put in. So, if you have spent any amount of time on social media following the Israeli attack on Gaza, you are sure to have come across Visegrád24 and its ultra-viral content. The Polish news aggregator is perhaps an unlikely candidate to become a key player in the information war, but in just a few weeks, it has gained hundreds of thousands of followers across its platforms, especially Twitter and TikTok. Currently at 843,000 and 103,000 followers, respectively. A study published for the Center for an Informed Public at the University of Washington titled The New Elites of X identified Visegrád24 as the most influential account in Israel-Palestine discourse. One measure of its reach is that in the first 3 days following Hamas's surprise attack, quote unquote, the 6 traditional media outlets with the most followers on Twitter, CNN Breaking News, CNN, the New York Times, BBC World News, and Reuters, okay, who collectively have nearly 300 million followers, received 112 million views on Israel-Palestine related content. Visegrád24, by comparison, received 370 million views over the same period. Okay? So that's all those major ones combined gets you 112 million. This thing, 370 million, tripling their numbers. Okay? So, and its massive reach has led many to equate it with reliability. And the account is regularly cited in establishment media such as Newsweek or Fox News, but this is far from the case. Indeed, its accounts appear to exist to lionize Israel and its supporters, demonize Palestine and its supporters, fearmonger about refugees, and promote ultra-conservative politics in general. All this talks of Alex Jones here recently this week. No one's talking about this, are they, Colin? Nobody mentioning this, okay? There's reasons why. So, part of what makes Visegrád24 rise problematic is its propensity to publish blatantly fake news. Earlier this month, for example, it posted footage of Israeli satirist Yoni Sharon playing a character mocking Palestinians, telling its audience he was a real Palestinian. A Palestinian man thanks Hamas for making sure that all the Palestinian people who used to commute into Israel to work will now be unemployed. He also thanks Hamas for making sure Palestinian kids will no longer receive surgeries in Israel. Great job, it wrote. Here it is. Here it is, Care Bear. Palestinian man thanks Hamas, right? Right? Abu Tala is a fictional character by Jewish Israeli settler Yoni Sharon. He learned Arabic from Palestinian neighbors. Adopting the persona to satirize Jews, Arabs, in the conflict, you can learn more about him in his own words in this yada yada yada. Right? Little community notes jumping in to help us out. So here it is.
بدي احكي شكرا لحركه حماس اللي الحين عشانكم كل الدنيا شاف من انتم كيف
the world you rule are, how you kill the elderly, kill babies, rape women, so on and so forth. Well done. Thank you. Thank you for all the workers that came from Gaza to work in Israel and will never work there again, and for all the Gazan children that were treated in the hospitals and will never be treated there again. And a big thank you from all the workers from the West Bank, from Utah, from Bethlehem, from Jenin, that worked in Israel, and from all the contractors that drive luxury cars that are rich and happy. Jews don't want Arab labor now. All 400,000 or so are out of a job now because of you. And thank you for the electricity, water, and diesel fuel, and all the other things they no longer have in Gaza. Thank you. And thank you for bringing Gaza back to its historical period, where there was nothing at all, and perhaps also for 300,000 new refugees inside Gaza. Well done, and thank you. I think we get the picture, right? So
yeah.
I can go to the next slide. Thank you. Perhaps most shamelessly, however, Visegrád 24 has on multiple occasions taken footage from Motaz Azazia, a Palestinian photographer who has worked with MintPress, and twisted the images of Israeli crimes to present the apartheid state in a good light. Azazia's video showing Israel's forces shooting in a large caravan of fleeing refugees was repackaged with the caption, Hamas terrorist shooting on a large group of Palestinians trying to flee south along the humanitarian corridors set up by Israel. Right? So here it is. Dan Cohen, we talked about him earlier tonight, right? Spooky propaganda accounts at the Mossad IL and Visegrád 24 lied and claimed a video of Israeli soldiers opening fire on Palestinian civilians fleeing south actually showed Hamas militants shooting at them. But Azazia Motaz, the journalist who filmed the shooting, called them out. Right? So another time, Visegrád 24 reposted an Azazia video claiming that it showed a merciful Israeli Air Force dropping leaflets urging Gazans that the area was not safe and asking them to move southwards for their own well-being. Stop the lies, Azazia replied. I'm the one who filmed this. The leaflets were saying if you have any information about the kidnapped Israelis, call us. In addition to this, it has repeated and amplified the beheaded babies hoax, called to defund the UNR Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees, described climate activist Greta Thunberg as a Hamas propagandist, and labeled pro-Palestinian demonstrators as thugs and mobs. It has also not been above sharing racially insensitive content depicting Palestinian supporters as clueless liberals who would be executed in a second if they set foot in Gaza, or asking highly charged questions such as, without Googling, name something that was invented, discovered, or created by Muslims over the century. I don't know. Math. How about math?
Yeah.
How about math?
Yeah.
All of math. Like all the numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's Arabic numerals. Like, how about math? Okay. So anyway, we're gonna get into that. But did you see this video, Collin? This got shared around.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're gonna. Oh my God, you know those NPC videos, Collin? You seen those? Like the hot dog's so good.
No.
Those videos. Okay, so they're on TikTok live streams, right? Where people donate money to people, and like little emojis come up, and a person reacts to the emojis. Like you'll get a hot dog, and every time a hot dog comes up, they'll go, the hot dog's so good. Right? Like that's a thing. Ladies make lots of money doing it. Okay. So she is parodying them. This individual. So Palestine supporter NPC. They're like non-playable character TikToks.
river to the sea. Hi. Thanks for the rose. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thanks for the rose. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. I'm from the LGBTQ community. And I stand with Gaza, even though I will be executed if I will step my foot in there. I stand with Palestine, even though I don't know where it's on the map. I stand with Palestine, even though... Go educate yourself. You're not educated. That's Islamophobic. That's Islam. Oh, me? I don't hate Jews, I only hate Zionists. It's the same thing. Oh, me? I only care about Palestinians' human rights because it's trending on TikTok. But I don't really care about Israeli human rights or Syrian refugees' human rights or North Korean human rights or Ukrainian human rights. I live far far
You
away
notice
from the
that?
conflict.
Ukrainian human rights got thrown in there? Okay.
In a very secure place, and I've never been afraid for my life or got any family members who got kidnapped to Gaza, or had a few young friends of mine that went to a party in my country and never returned. They were raped, tortured, and slaughtered. Here are the names and photos. I never had that. I live in a very, very far away place, and I still tell you, educate yourself. I don't care that you live in Israel and you see those horrors every day and you have friends that you lost. Educate yourself. Educate yourself. Educate yourself.
Okay. So
Hi.
that's this lady.
Right.
Okay. So she mentioned in this that, you know, they LGBTQ couldn't step foot in there. Well, there might be a few members of that community among us.
Hi.
No. Next. You know this guy. We've had him on the show. Jay Buffont from
Yep.
RBN does some pretty great work, right? He says on Twitter, go to Gaza and they'll chop your head off for being gay. Some LGBTQ people tested out that theory. Let's observe their findings, shall we, Care Bear? What do you think's gonna happen?
You shouldn't be supporting Palestinians if you're LGBTQ. Seriously, they'll murder you. Don't believe me? Go there. See how they treat you. Okay, then, let's go. Mission: gather and label supplies, assemble a team, arrive and distribute aid to as many Palestinian families as possible while serving as openly LGBTQ. Here's how it went. But Rain, you're an outsider, so of course it was different for you. Well, that wasn't what y'all claimed. You said Palestinians would murder me. But here, in case you aren't satisfied, our team was largely made up of local LGBTQ plus people and their allies, and they all survived. Oh, and if that's still not good enough because they were providing aid, we found Gazan Palestinian LGBTQ people at this stop, this one, and many more. They all had grown up to adulthood while living within Gaza, Palestine. This rumor is a vicious bit of propaganda meant to dehumanize the victims of one of the deadliest months of bombardment to any territory on this planet in decades, and it's a lie. Now, do LGBTQ people in Gaza, Palestine still need liberation? Yes. Do they have their full rights? No. Is it safe for them to be super open? Most of the times, no. But their struggle isn't unique to Palestinian culture. It's a struggle shared by most LGBTQ people on the planet in different but very adjacent ways. I've experienced similar treatment in Ukraine, Poland, the USA, Colombia, Mexico, Turkey, and more. LGBTQ plus liberation is
In where?
Right.
Where? Ukraine.
Ukraine.
Uh-huh.
Funny enough, I was watching some guy who's now an influencer on YouTube, who's from Ukraine, and he mentioned the first thing, like obviously being gay, like he wanted to leave Ukraine as fast as possible because like he didn't felt like himself there, to the point where now he's like almost disavowed Ukraine completely. So no.
Yep.
But yeah, but they make this argument and it's like, oh, you'll get your head chopped off over there. I'm like,
Same
we
as
can
like
get our head
every
chopped off here.
right. Yes.
a
Like
lifetime
there are
fight.
plenty
One
of
we're not
Christian
unfamiliar
evangelists that would love to see you like
Uh-huh.
offed.
Here. Yeah.
So
here with, but let me be
but you
clear.
know who
Regardless
but
of
you
the
know
progress
who's
of that
generally
fight,
saying that though? Usually white people
yes.
who
Yeah.
can hide behind their whiteness in order.
Yeah.
So
And let's not talk about how Israel feels about gay people in any way. Let's not
Right.
mention that.
this is never an excuse to turn our backs on the suffering and liberation of others. Gazan Palestinian LGBTQ plus people and their allies will continue to push for their rights over time, but right now the priority is to push to have a life at all, a home at all, a land at all. Our focus should be on that call for humanitarian aid to every beating heart.
So very good stuff.
thank you, JD.
Yep. And who was that at the end?
Shouldn't be
right there. At Nova.
No, Gene Vintage.
Gotcha.
Gene Vintage.
Cool.
I
Good on you.
seriously think we need to do like a TikTok of the week or something like that.
Sure.
Let us know in the comments
Shouldn't
if
be
we
surprised.
should do that, since we've been playing a lot of these fire TikToks.
So we like to do this here very often. No, that's not the sound I wanted.
No.
But we follow the money, Care Bear. We follow the money. That's what we do here.
Okay.
Jesse Ventura taught us.
All right.
All
right.
So, Visegrád 24 began as a Twitter account in early 2020, but for the longest time, its funding and the identities of its key staff remain shrouded in mystery. The news aggregator does not even have a website. Instead, it directs readers to a crowdfunding platform that shows they have only 723 donations. Okay?
Okay.
For an operation believed to
Weird.
be around 12 people, this is clearly not sufficient to be financially viable. There is another source of confirmed funding, however, the ultra-conservative government of Poland. Last October, the Polish Chancellery gave 1.4 million PLN, roughly in US 350,000 to Visegrád 24, a decision approved by Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki. Morawiecki, I think. Morawiecki, the Polish people will let me know. I definitely got Mateusz right. I know that one. So it is not known whether Visegrád 24 has received any subsequent government funding. So that's what we're starting off with. About, a little over $250,000, right? So around the same time it was receiving government money, Polish media identified some of the key figures running the operation. One is Adam Starzyński, a Swedish-born Polish journalist, okay, who formerly worked at the English language program Poland Daily, produced by TV Republica. Starzyński has experience in running conservative social media as he operated the ultra-conservative @Based Poland Twitter account. @Based Poland spread nationalistic propaganda and anti-Muslim content, gaining more than 150,000 followers before it was banned. Any talk about bringing that back, Care Bear, you think? So, Starzyński is a key figure in the resurgent Eastern European conservative movement. This Make Europe Great Again movement supports far-right populists like Donald Trump, Hungary's Viktor Orban, and Brazil's Jair Bolsonaro, all of which have been extremely friendly with Israel now. Including the new Javier Milei. I'm sure that's going to be a thing. So, the second key figure in what Visegrád 24 calls its group of conservative friends is Stefan Thompson, a Polish, South African PR strategist. God, what do you think South Africans know about apartheid, Colin? What do you think they know? Thompson grew up in London and cut his teeth working for the Leave campaign during the Brexit referendum, a vote marred by widespread fake news and disinformation. He has his own YouTube channel about Polish history and is a contributor to the Polish government-owned TV channel Telewizja Polska. He is reportedly preparing to launch a brand new media company to capitalize on Visegrád 24's success. Visegrád 24.
You know what this kind of reminds me of? There was some chick, I forgot her name, but there was some chick who was on Piers Morgan's show like maybe a couple of weeks ago, some blonde chick who used to be like this influencer from Long Island. Like she got her start like doing TikToks and doing stuff on MTV, and just happens to be on Piers Morgan's show where they were interviewing some Palestinian activists, and this chick was just, I have to find her name because I forgot it. And I know I tweeted her out about this maybe a couple of weeks ago. But this is kind of what it sounds like. Like, these right-wing influencers who who are trying to get like known as far as the entertainment circle or whatever, that suddenly kind of make a move into politics.
Yeah.
And get caught up that way. Actually, that guy Link, who kind of had that debate with Harry Sisson.
Yeah.
He was kind of popular for like 2 seconds. Like, gives me that vibe. And actually, I saw a lot of his stuff before. And like, he was doing music and shit. So like,
Yep.
So yeah, this is just kind of what reminds me of these young influencers start in entertainment, then somehow or other get picked up to do politics, and they're funded by groups like this to promote these right-wing talking points.
Yes. Well, and it's very similar. We saw this all over Ukraine, right? So TikTok influencers and whatnot, and just generally the war on information. This was part of the forefronts of that. So Visegrád 24 established its brand and built a following, posting content strongly supportive of the Ukrainian military and their attempts to repel the Russian invasion. Poland and the other Eastern European NATO states have been particularly vocal opponents of Russia, while it now focuses on Israel-Palestine content. It continues to, almost like a completely other group of little fucking shitty Doge, like, profile pics. NAFO, anyone? So Poland and the other Eastern, right? So while it now focuses on Israel-Palestine content, it continues to post content calling for greater European involvement in the war. For example, last week it shared a video of a dying Ukrainian soldier and demanded to know why the West is holding back crucial weapon systems from Ukraine and why they aren't allowed to strike Russia. So, unfortunately, the news aggregator displayed the same propensity to publish incorrect information on Ukraine as it does with Israel. Among the fake stories it is promoted include a Hollywood actor, Leonardo DiCaprio, donating $10 million to Ukraine. That was false. That didn't happen. Polish politicians supporting a Polish-Ukrainian union. That's false. That didn't happen. Pornhub being blocked in Russia. That's false. That didn't happen. Okay.
But to be fair, they don't need porn.
I mean, one could argue there are other sites available.
Right.
So in their haste to drum up, directly go to the women directly, give them money directly. Probably best bet. Anyway, in their haste to drum up support for the Ukrainian causes, media in the West often overlooked or whitewashed the fascist or neo-Nazi element active within the Ukrainian armed forces. I wonder why they would want to whitewash that. Chief among these is the Azov Battalion, a group whose insignia was directly lifted from the 2nd Waffen-SS Panzer Division, a unit responsible for carrying out some of the worst crimes of Hitler's Holocaust. Amazing how they're all working for Israel now, right? They whitewashed all this, and now they're doing Israel's bidding. How'd that happen? What, they meet during that particular time, or what? So, Andrei Beletsky, the Azov Battalion's founder, said in 2010 that he believes Ukraine's mission is to, quote, lead the white races of the world in a final crusade against Semite-led Untermenschen. You can't get more direct, the word Hitler used to describe Jews, Poles, Ukrainians, and other people he designated for extermination. It is possible to both support Ukraine's right against Russian aggression and be critical of neo-Nazis elements in Ukraine army. Visegrád 24 once posted on Twitter, yet analyzing all Visegrád 24 content containing the word Azov, it is difficult to find any posts that even take a neutral tone, let alone a critical one. As such, they often appeared to act like an unofficial press agency for the group. Many posts humanize the soldiers, showing their mothers and wives or presenting them as brave defenders of the motherland. Sounds familiar again. Others are glowing obituaries of heroic Azov fighters who lost their lives. Every year, the soldiers of the Azov regiment gather on the shortest night of the year to honor their fallen brothers in arms. This year, especially after the Battle of Avostal, they had more men to honor than ever. Through new recruits, the group has grown significantly in size since Sevastopol, they wrote in December, while the European far right is consistently and often virulently anti-Semitic, they regularly display strong support for the state of Israel and its policies. Seeing the ethno-state Israel is creating as a blueprint for their own designs, thus an unlikely alliance now exists between fascist movements in Europe and the state where the descendants of the people those groups failed to kill just 80 years ago now live. So, and we've talked about how the original thought inventors of this did the same. So, Israel is losing the information war, lamented Visegrád 24's Stefan Thompson on Twitter. Social media is dominated by pro-Palestinian, anti-Israeli, if not overtly pro-Hamas and or anti-Semitic content. If things are not turned around, the Hamas lobby will successfully not only appropriate but also redefine the Holocaust, he added. Sounds like they're not the ones redefining it. Just saying.
Yeah.
Putting aside the dramatic prediction, Thompson is correct that Israel is experiencing difficulty influencing worldwide public opinion. The genocidal destruction has brought millions of people around the world out into the streets to attend marches, lectures, protests, and demonstrations. An estimated 1 million people filled the streets of London on November the 11th, despite direct instruction from the government not to do so. Fuck you. I do what the fuck I want in this fucking town. That's what the Londoners should be saying, as they have said a few times before. In the United States, too, the situation in Gaza has ignited a massive reaction, with hundreds of large demonstrations taking place across virtually every major city. Pro-Israeli demonstrations, meanwhile, has been comparatively poorly attended, unless they got paid to do so. President Biden's support for Israel is a significant reason for his dwindling polling numbers. The Biden admin continues.
Well, not only that, but not Biden, but like
the entire party,
the government, not just everybody across the
government.
Board.
Exactly.
So
Trump too. Right. So
right.
But the Biden administration continues to back Israel at the United Nations, but is increasingly isolated. In October, the U.S. voted against a UN resolution calling for a cessation of the violence, one of only a handful of countries to do so, and the hand signal used was very nostalgic to World War II.
Right.
Unlike others that have done perfectly fine hand signals there, Israel's once rock-solid support among Americans is also floundering. A recent Quinnipiac University poll found that overall sympathy for Israel has dropped 7 points since October to 54% of Americans, with 24% saying they sympathize more with Palestine. Most concerning for Israeli supporters is that they appear to be losing the next generation. The same Quinnipiac poll found a huge generational gap in understanding of the conflict. While older voters stood solidly behind Israel, majority Americans aged between 18 to 34 said their sympathies lay with the Palestinians, while only 29% say they supported Israel. TikTok must be working. Keep doing that shit out there, fam. Much of this chasm can be explained as a result of how the different generations get their news. Older Americans continue to rely on established legacy media, such as cable news and print and radio, which continue to display extraordinary bias in favor of Israel. Younger generations, however, primarily use social media, while hardly free of restrictions. Platforms like Twitter or TikTok allow a far more comprehensive range of news and views to circulate, including opinions from ordinary people. And shout out, we covered this on the last How Do We Miss That of CTI, right? Which is like these comic book nerds that are trying to combat misinformation through government means, pretty much. So that's why they're doing that, because they're losing this battle. So they got to get more control. So Israel has attempted to gain this system while spending heavily on ads targeted Western audience. Between October 7th and October 19th, the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, aka MOFA, spent more than $7 million on YouTube advertisements, equating to nearly 1 billion pairs of eyeballs. The top 5 countries targeted were France, Germany, Belgium, the UK, and the US. The MOFA also ran ad campaigns on Instagram, Facebook, mobile games, and apps like language trainer Duolingo. Meanwhile, on Twitter, pro-Israeli trolls attempted to hijack the community notes function, attaching argumentative notes and warning labels undermining any post showing Israel in a negative light. Several prominent TikTok creators revealed they were offered large sums of money to record simple videos endorsing Israel's actions.
Yep.
So, despite this, there's been an unprecedented outpouring of sympathy for the people of Palestine on TikTok. For example, between October 23rd and October 30th, 87,000 posts were using the hashtag #StandWithPalestine hashtag, garnering 285 million views. The equivalent pro-Israel hashtag #StandWithIsrael hashtag, meanwhile, generated only 9,000 posts and 64 million views. In response to the news that their citizens are not receiving the preferred message on Israel-Palestine, U.S. government officials are pushing to simply ban TikTok altogether as a solution to the problem. GOP presidential candidates Chris Christie and Nikki Haley have repeatedly called for the total prohibition of the popular app.
I'm sure Saga would love that.
Oh yeah, Senator Marco Rubio demanding that it was time for TikTok to go, accusing the company of downplaying Hamas terrorism. Despite this, there has been an Can I just read that?
Right?
They put 2. Yep. Okay, so Democrats have proven that citizen censorship is a bipartisan issue. See Church of Carlin, Chapter 9, Verse 10. Senator Chris Murphy, for example, another Chris from New Jersey, for example, described TikTok as a Chinese-controlled platform that is turning America against each other through its promotion of violent pro-Hamas and anti-Semitic material.
China.
Collin, who the fuck runs TikTok? We know this. We've covered this. Like, you go back to TikTok Trojan Horse in our clips. Yeah. They will tell you that it is us. We're running it. We've run it from the start. American people run that whole company, and not just American people. Ex-CIA, ex-FBI, just the spookiest of spooks you can spook. Like, that's how that works. Like, feds all over that. So, I don't know what they're talking about. I think it's just the cat's out of the bag and they can't put it back in. So, like, oh, we gotta axe it. Axe it. 86 the TikTok. 86 it. So, anyway, these calls were echoed by Israeli President Eisen Herzog, who complained that users were being brainwashed by pro-Palestine content. TikTok has defended itself, claiming that its algorithms do not take sides and that young people are simply more sympathetic to Palestine. Good on you, TikTok. Keep it up. What did Elon go do when they threw the axe at him? Oh, he went to Israel and, licked some boots. That's what he did. So, unlike TikTok, there have been no official calls to ban Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, although they definitely were pulling ads on other social media sites, perhaps because they are cooperating with authorities to censor dissenting voices. Twitter recently announced that it deleted more than 325,000 tweets relating to the violence and had removed more than 3,000 accounts. Oh, how about that free speech, Elon? How about it? How about that? So, Mini linked to Hummus. It has not deleted any accounts affiliated with the Israeli government. Instagram locked a number of the most pro-Palestinian accounts, including Eye on Palestine with 9.2 million followers. Meanwhile, the Israeli Attorney General's office revealed that approximately 94% of the 9,500 requests it made to Meta, the parent company of Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram, to delete content had been granted. 94%. Man, that sounds like their Palestinian conviction rate, Collin. So, Yeah, fun, right? Just as important as the troops on the ground is the information war playing out in cyberspace, Israel could not carry out its actions without support from the Western public. On this front, it's found a key ally in Visegrád 24, a news aggregator that has exploded in popularity and influence of late. Unfortunately, the shadowy Polish government-funded organization not only reports facts from a pro-Israel perspective, but also consistently publishes blatantly false or misleading content. This, however, is far from unusual. In a war, truth is always the first casualty. Visegrad's 24 rapid rise to prominence is a testament to this. Thoughts, Care Bear?
Well, as I said, did not hear of this group, have not seen them on my feed.
Yeah.
But I've seen tons of pro-Israel influencers, I will call them, appear on my feed within the last couple of months.
Yeah.
Do not follow them. They just randomly appear and spew their pro-Israel talking point. And more recently, so, I mean, it makes sense. Like, given, I just kind of lump this as what's happening anyway. So it doesn't, not to say it doesn't concern me, but I'm not surprised at this. But then again, like, as I said, I've seen tons of pro-Israel propaganda being spewed on my feed, just pushed into my feed.
Yeah.
So it's whatever. I'm sure yeah. But I haven't heard of this group. And
well, yeah, it's craziness. But yeah, in saying that, we us talking about this are heavily suppressed. Who would have thunk it? So please share directly with friends, family members, your dog. I don't care. Put this video in front of them, make them subscribe. I don't know what you got to do that, but figure it out. Don't waterboard anyone, but but yeah, make sure to leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Always helps. Watch another video on the channel. We talked about a few of them. I will try to make sure to annotate that so that you can go right up there and click it in the thing. So otherwise, links to all the articles we covered down in the doobly-doo. But yeah,